Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, Deltans. And on behalf of the board, management, and staff, I welcome you to today's edition of Morning Ride. Today is Thursday, the 19th day in the month of June 2025. And as always, we have amazing programs lined up for your viewing pleasure, from the newspaper analysis to the interview segment to trending issues. We've got you covered. My name is Perpetua Iboba, and I'm saying welcome to today's edition of Morning Ride. Well, we'll begin with the trending issues, the things that's been happening in the country, and things that's also been affecting our country, our beloved country, Nigeria. So we'll begin with the current tragedy in Benue State. And yesterday, the governor paid a visit to the people of Benue State, where he said that the current tragedy of the people will be converted into prosperity. And he also said that he's ready to invest in the peace and development of the people of Benue State. He went further to query the police for not making any arrest yet. He also tasked NIA, DSS DGs on their intelligence covering, and he gave marching order to CDS to flush out criminals out of Benue State. He went further to direct formation of Inclusive Peace Committee. So these are some of the things that he did yesterday while he went to commemorate with the government and the people of Benue State over the recent killings in Yelwata community in Goma local government area. Like I said earlier, the president promised to invest in the peace of the state, and however, he queried the police authorities for not having made any arrests since the killings, to show some level of seriousness by the government. He tasked the Director General of the National Intelligence Agency, Ambassador Mohammed, on intelligence gathering, and he also charged him to work with his counterpart in the Department of State Services, Tosin Ajayi, in order to apprehend those behind the crime. The president went further to give a marching order to the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, without further delay to flush out all the criminal elements fomenting trouble in the state and the environs. Now, during a town hall meeting, speaking with Benue stakeholders in the government house in Makurdi, he assured the people of the federal government's backing and his personal resolve to end that cycle of bloodshed. Now, the governor, who is no other than Governor Hyacinth Alia, rejects call for self-defense, and he has also gone further to back police intervention. Actually, he rejected calls for self-defense by the residents following the latest wave of brutal attacks in the states. Instead, he urged the communities to support the establishment of a more robust community system. Now, when he spoke with newsmen, he called for calm and warned against emotionally driven responses that could escalate insecurity in the states. Now, his remarks followed the reported massacre of about 200 people in a 2-day rampage by suspected armed herders, with local leaders estimating the true death toll could be higher. Now, the attacks affected Goma local government areas and several surrounding communities, prompting a national outrage and called for states of emergency. Governor Hyacinth Alia also went further to emphasize that external security forces may lack the local understanding necessary to respond swiftly to such attacks. Now, his comments comes amid growing frustration among the Benue State residents and calls for civil society groups, including former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, for urgent government action and justice for the victims of this unfortunate incident. Well, our heart goes out to those who lost their lives, lost family members in this tragic incident that occurred in Benue State, and we say that may they find the fortitude to bear the loss, and for those who lost their lives, may their souls rest in peace. Moving on to the next trending issue, we see that the Nigerian police force has flagged off training workshop on money laundering. Now, they did this in partnership with the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit, NFIU, and the Rule of Law and Anti-Corruption Program, ROLAC, yesterday. And they flagged off a 3-day capacity building workshop that was themed money laundering and terrorism financing for frontline officers and prosecutors in Abuja. Now, this was contained in a statement that was made available to newsmen by the Forces Public Relations Officer, Assistant Commissioner of Police, Olumuyiwa Adejobi. Now, according to that statement, the Attorney General of the Federation emphasized the workshop's relevance in combating the evolving and complex threats of money laundering and terrorism financing, which he described as critical global security challenges. He also went further to highlight the need for modern technology-driven enforcement tools and stronger interagency cooperation, stressing that traditional approaches are no longer sufficient. He also encouraged participants to maximize the opportunity to build their expertise and urged all agencies to shun rivalry and instead deepen collaboration to ensure collective success. Now, this statement also noted in its address that the Inspector General of Police, represented by the Deputy Inspector General of Police in charge of training and development, underscored the significance of training workshop, particularly at a time when Nigeria is listed on the Financial Action Task Force grey list. He acknowledged the government's legislative and institutional responses to these crimes, including the enactment of the Money Laundering Prohibition Act 2022 and the Terrorism Prevention Act 2022. He went further to stress that this enforcement is the linchpin of effectiveness. He also noted the establishment of the counter-terrorism unit of the force as a proactive move in the ongoing effort to tackle these complex crimes and called for intensified efforts and intensified synergy between the police and other critical stakeholders such as the DSS, the NFIU, the EFCC to consolidate ongoing efforts. So that's it on the trending issues. But on a lighter note, today being Thursday, the 19th day in the month of June, is Real Food Day. Yes, that's what today is all about. Now, today is the day to celebrate the importance of not just eating, but then eating real food. Yes, celebrating wholesome good food with family and friends. So today is a day that is set aside for us to splurge on a healthy food shop or throw a dinner party, lunch, breakfast, whichever it is, to showcase the deliciousness that is real food eating. If you want to distract kids for a few hours, why not get them involved in the cooking and use some of the Real Food Day recipes to through a little food education in the process. Actually, today is a day that is set aside for us to understand the importance of eating food. Real food, actually, not snacks, not junks. All of these, we can feast on them, but importance of eating real food to aid our growth and development. We may want to use it to throw parties, take someone out for to eat lunch, but it's so important that we eat real food, real good food. Actually, this day was launched in 2019 to combat the rise in fast food and health-related conditions. The Public Health Collaboration started the day to show that by making real food and positive lifestyle changes, some conditions can improve and in some cases be reversed entirely by living a healthier life. So that's what today is all about. Okay, moving on. Today being 19th, Thursday, the 19th day in the month of June 2025 is also World Sickle Cell Day. And this is a day that is set aside for all of us to help increase public knowledge and awareness of sickle cell disease. This is one of the main causes of death in children under the age of 5 in Africa. Sickle cell disease is the world's most common genetic blood disorder, and while this disease is treatable, it affects hundreds of thousands of babies each year, many of whom may not live to see their 5th birthday. Now, the World Sickle Cell Day aims to share information about this disease, improve research, and provide hope and help for families who need it. Now, in observing and commemorating this day, it's important that we all get involved with being part of the solution by raising awareness and becoming more informed about sickle cell disease. It's also important that we try to attend a sickle cell event if there are today, events close to us. If there are today, some health groups rather that are dedicated to sickle cell disease needs our support, needs our attention. So it's not out of place to also support them this day. But mainly, do not discriminate. Do not look down on those with sickle cell. Help them when we can. It's important that we help them when we can. Show them that love, show them that empathy, show them that support they need. Apart from them taking their treatment and going for medical care, it's pivotal that we show them kindness and we don't discriminate. It is very, very important. And in rounding off the trending issues, we will round off on a beautiful note that the #1 citizen of Delta State is +1 today. Exactly. So today we are honoring a life of service and progress. This is a man that was born in the month of June 1963 in Osubi, Okpe local government area of Delta State. Governor Sheriff Oborewori's journey from local councillor to governor is a testament to his enduring dedication to the people of Delta State. His leadership, grounded in strong community values, shines through every milestone he has reached. At 62, Governor Oborewori leads with wisdom, compassion, and an unwavering commitment to transformational change. His administration signature, more agenda, mobilizing opportunities for resources and empowerment, has gone further to spark sweeping infrastructural development in the state, especially in roads, agriculture, education, healthcare, and so on. Trust me, the list is endless. Notably, the approval of 275 billion naira worth of state projects in early 2025 signals bold investment in the future of Deltans. Now, under his stewardship, Delta State has avoided new borrowing, yet the state has continued its infrastructural rollout, a rare achievement that earned him multiple awards for Governor of the Year accolades from This Day and Arise, Telegraph, Vanguard, and the others. Now, these awards celebrate not just projects, but they are testament to true and principled leadership and a sense of accountability. The governor has also gone further to prioritize unity, bringing together political adversaries for the state's benefit. He recently facilitated a major party defection that positioned Delta to benefit more directly from the federal infrastructural policies. Through strategic partnerships with the federal government, key projects like expressway rehabilitation and feeder roads linking the Second Niger Bridge are now underway. As a compassionate leader, even as inflation pressure hits many, the governor and his team, especially the women mobilizers, have launched outreach programs to support vulnerable groups, vulnerable individuals, and vulnerable households. His gratitude, especially for reaching milestones like his 62nd birthday, is deeply rooted in faith and humility, a quality he shared publicly during his 60th birthday Thanksgiving. As Governor Sheriff Oborewori marks his 62nd year, we celebrate a leader who combines vision, integrity, selflessness, peace, and endurance. His life is a reminder that true leadership bends not towards personal ambition, but towards lasting, people-centered and people-oriented progress. And we pray that may this milestone be filled with joy, good health, and renewed purpose as he continues to lead Delta State into a brighter future and a brighter tomorrow. Happy 62nd birthday, Your Excellency. Well, it's on this note that we are rounding off on the trending issues. Don't forget, you're still on to Thursday's edition of Morning Ride. We'll take a quick breather, and the next segment will be for our next sport this day.
That is all I can say. I wish you many, many happy returns.
Felicitations. The board and management of Delta Broadcasting Service, DBS Asaba, extend our hearty congratulations to our pace-setter governor, His Excellency, Right Honorable Elder Sheriff Ubrewori, on the occasion of his birth anniversary on June 19. This special occasion not only marks another year of your life, but also serves as a reminder of your exceptional commitment to serving the people of Delta. Your leadership has brought about significant progress and development to our communities, and your dedication to public service is absolutely laudable. Your unwavering resolve and actions locally and internationally to ensure a prosperous and inclusive Delta has continued to attract laurels to you. Indeed, you have made Delta State a global brand. We are grateful for your vision and service towards a greater Delta State. At Delta Broadcasting Service Asaba, we remain committed to supporting your administration's efforts by sharing your initiatives and achievements with our teeming audience, ensuring that the visible dividends of the MORE agenda and the appreciative voices of the people resonate throughout the state. Once again, happy birthday, Your Excellency. May the years ahead be filled with joy, success, vitality, and strength as you lead Delta State towards greater heights. Signed, Honorable Chief Austin Chikezie, Board Chairman, Delta Broadcasting Service Asaba, and Mrs. Christine Jobama Emetulu, General Manager.
I can say, I wish you many, many happy returns.
Experiencing its worst ever economic crisis in a generation, leading to widespread anger and hardship. A liter of fuel or petrol costs more than 3 times what it did 9 months ago, while the price of staple food, rice, has more than doubled in the past year. Indeed, the country is crying. This morning, on Morning Ride, we'll be x-raying the Nigerian economy. To do justice to this is one who is both intelligent and eloquent, one who is fit to have conversation, no matter how fast it comes when it concerns the economy. He is National Deputy Chairman, Diaspora Engagement, 2023 Senate candidate for Delta North. Ladies and gentlemen, we have with us in the studio Honorable Dr. Kenneth Chubugo Bandi. It's good to have you.
Thank you so much.
Welcome to Morning Ride.
Thank you so much, sir.
Good to have you, Chief.
Good morning, sir. Welcome to Morning Ride.
Thank you so much.
All right. Now, I want you to, first of all, let me feel your thoughts and perceptions about the current state of the Nigerian economy. Let's get an overview from you.
I think I can basically put it better than you just did in your opening statement. Nigeria is, we're experiencing an unprecedented economic hardship. We've had it rough in the past, and then, but it has never been so rough. I mean, you go to the market today, just to put it in a layman's word, you go to the market today, you price something for XYZ Naira, you go there tomorrow, the price is doubled. And of course, our fixed incomes, our salary remains the same. And so you can imagine, I mean, if you look at social media today, you see people looting trucks. I'm not encouraging that. I'm not saying it's right. You see people looting, truck carrying goods, The hunger is real. The economic predicament, it's real. And thanks to the APC government, the funny thing is that we have, in the last 8 years, like I said, the economy has not been healthy. But the last 8 years, we have the APC government, and unfortunately, the current president and commander-in-chief is a member of the APC who are saying that the economy under Buhari was good and was healthy. They told us they were doing good, and unfortunately, we'll see how good it is. So, to put it to summarize it, Nigeria has never witnessed this kind of economic predicament, and this is unprecedented. I don't actually know if I have any words to describe that.
Okay, let's try to be fair as we x-ray the Nigerian economy. What are the strengths and weaknesses of the current Nigerian economy from your perspective?
If you, I've been outside this country for the past 28 years, and then every single business, every single company wants to do business with Nigeria.
Okay.
The fact is that we have the strongest, young, vibrant population in the world. With about 250 million people, you can produce and sell anything in Nigeria. And we have a very young, mobile, intelligent, mobile force. Our kids, our youths are part of the best in the world. Check out the Under Secretary of States from Germany to US to UK. Most of the policymakers, top-notch policymakers, are all Nigerians. And so that is just a microcosm of what we have in this country. So we have a robust environment in terms of young force to support the economy. We have a lot of mineral resources. Lumumba, the very eloquent professor, said that with the resources in Nigeria, you cannot understand why Nigeria should be. So all the parameters are there. What we're lacking is good governance.
Now, let's go straight to some of the economic things going on in Nigeria. Now, with the 650,000 barrels per day Dangote refinery, that's in Lekki, Lagos, coming on stream for local production of petrol in the past couple of months, and Air Peace Airlines in the past 1 week commencing operation on Nigeria-UK lucrative routes previously monopolized by British Airlines. Would you agree that Nigeria is poised to end the strangulation of our economy? That's what some experts are saying right now.
My national chairman, Chief Rafo Kewosu, published an article yesterday, and the title of the article is "Hope is not good enough," or "It's no longer good enough." The former president of this country, military president, IBB, he said that he can't understand why Nigerians, you can stress Nigerians to the limit, things are going to be okay. Finally, good. Congratulations to Air Peace. Of course, it's very, very, a welcome development. But please, the refinery, how many liters go into the market? What effect does that have on the price of goods? To the market, on the common man. And so we have these economic jargons. You pump in money, you release money from the federal government, to put the dollar under stress. These are artificials. These are not, economic generated. We're not importing, we're not exporting, we're not manufacturing. And so what we're just doing is there. So we want to see the effect of those refineries pumping into, fuel. The market. We want to see that is the only indices we can use to judge if our economy is healthy or not.
Okay, away from oil, how do you assess the performance of Nigeria's economic diversification efforts in recent years?
Well, let me warn my viewers. I'm not an economic expert.
All right.
And so I'm only speaking as a stakeholder. Somebody who has at least who has a stake in this country. As a former senatorial candidate, of course, we hope to have an oversight function, if one, and to make sure that these economic policies that we have are not only implemented but also have a. And so the indices, like I said, are there. We could still do better. But I'm not saying the results. We can speak all the grammars we want to speak. We can play with words as good journalists, but we still want to see the results on the ground. So far, we've not seen it. And so until we start having the effect on the common man, then we can judge the economy based on that.
Do you think Nigeria is putting much effort to make sure that aside from oil, we could diversify and look into areas like agriculture, to generate income for the country?
No nation survives without agriculture. That's basic. So agriculture is basic. And again, we've had this story, we've had this, I've been on your program many times, we're talking about diversification, we're talking about agriculture. I don't see any national policy on agriculture from this government, sorry to say. Apart from pockets and one or two things there. Diversification is good, of course, apart from oil, which has actually what we call the resource cost, because since we discovered oil, people seems to leave out the basic things they are doing and the rest of them. So diversification is good. I mean, it's any wise economy, any wise leader will work on diversification of the economy. Agriculture is basic. We have the IT, which is actually one of the things ruling the world. Our youth are perfectly, we can see in the negative sense all the Yahoo boys, what they are doing. If we can channel those resources into an IT hub where the potentials of our youths are. So the ITs are there, the agricultures are there, and manufacturing. Nigerians are very resourceful people. If we have a standard light, if we have a standard infrastructures, I think we could turn around the economy. Unfortunately, like I said, I'm not seeing those results on the ground.
Let's talk about the role of corruption as it affects the nation's economy. I want you to buttress on that.
I think it's, I don't know if it's Buhari, President Buhari, who once said it, that either Nigerian will kill corruption or corruption will kill Nigeria. And the fact is that the corruption in this country is more or less institutionalized. And so people, they don't have any issue, they don't have any qualms, being labeled as corrupt people. And look at the ministers that we have who are under investigation by EFCC, where from the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, 30-40 billion into an individual account. You just, sometimes I really don't understand if people, seeing the impact. 30 billion on one individual's account. And these are the things that could build how many schools, how many hospitals, that can build how many power plants, that can generate, power, electricity, generate employment. And so it's obvious that corruption is killing Nigeria. Unfortunately, we're not winning that battle. Hopefully, we'll have a turnaround.
Do you think that we should first go after corruption before talking about making economic policies that can make our nation grow as far as the economy is concerned?
I belong to the school of thought that I don't think it's going to be either this or that. It should be this and that. We should be able to. We have the capacity to do both of them at the same time, because both of them are very, very important. And you don't want to wait until until you kill corruption. That might take the next 50-30 years to achieve. And so when you start doing that, what happens to the economy? And so we need to do that, and together. And I'm sure that we'll have the capacity.
Are you comfortable with the role of the EFCC towards fighting corrupt practices, especially when it concerns financial crimes and corruption? Because I'm just focusing on corruption for now.
No, I am not. Definitely, I am not. I think EFCC they've become part of government parastatals that used to fight opposition parties and individuals that they don't like in the society. I was reading in the paper just yesterday, and I can't understand how one so-called Nigerian socialite, Bobrisky or whatever they called, and she was being arrested and for abusing the naira, so to say. And at the same time, a lady was just given a state award, for just throwing the same. It can go on and on and on. No. I want to see some of the past governors, I want to see some of the past senators who have been indicted of corruption. I want to see them being on trial. Being on trial is not enough. I want to see them behind bars. That's only when you start sending the message. If you don't do that, people believe that they will just go in there, go and see one or two godfathers and they will come out. So no, I'm not impressed with that.
Okay. Can you discuss the role of government policies and regulation in shaping the trajectory of the Nigerian economy, particularly in terms of promoting growth and development?
Well, again, I'm not an economic expert, but when we have, the central government, when it was being cleared at the Senate, a member of the ruling party, former chairperson of the APC, former governor of this country, Oshomole, Adam Oshomole, did not express confidence in the ability of the then appointed central governor to change the economy. Why do I use that as a reference? And because shaping the economy is about policies. Which policies are you putting in place? To be able to guide the economy. Central bank is not a commercial bank. And so if you look at the policies that this current administration is putting in place, some are give them the credit, some are extremely very good, but some are just I don't know how to put it. Is it recycling? Is it settling big boys and the rest of them? Otherwise, I do not understand how some ministers and some governors, and not governors, some ministers and some board of directors, could be appointed in this administration and expect to get results. And we have had a lot of policy reversals. Somebody is appointed today, and 2-3 days later, they said for whatever reasons he is not qualified, they reverse it, and so on and so forth. And so then you can't have a confidence. But let me say this: what Nigeria is experiencing, especially with the economic somersault, perception is sometimes more important than reality. People need to believe that the government of the day is sincere in pursuing any reform. And once they have this belief, they are, the beliefs are strong that they meant well for the economy, they meant well for the country, then people are going to fit into that. It's a government that is, putting up policies. A minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria saying that we should offer our freezers before we leave for work, when he should be talking about, how do we expand the energy mix, renewable energies and the rest of them, how do we have, increase in production so that we can have a... So if you look at that, so at the end of the day, you have a president who is going to, foreign affairs with a jumbo entourage, including his 2 sons and the rest of them. At the same time, you're telling us to tighten our belts and the rest of them. So both of them do not match. So at the end of the day, you are telling people, do what I say, don't do what I do, and it's not going to work. And so we need to have, a nation, we need to have a government that is rolling out policies, and the policies that they are also living with, and they have to inspire confidence, and people have to go on with them because they believe that they meant well. So far, it's not happening.
From your own perspective, what kind of policies do you think they should come up with to make the Nigerian economy stronger?
Well, what do we need? What can any country, needs for survival? Investment in infrastructures, investment in light, having what we call environment that supports investment. Let me give you a very critical example. There's some calculation I posted, out very, I think about 2-3 days. I apologize for the wrong calculation, but the sense is made. And what was the sense? We are having about 90 billion. I don't know if it's naira, but I think it's 90 billion naira to support pilgrims or to support Hajj. And I'm sure that probably another 90 million will be used, to support, the Christian pilgrims to Jerusalem. If you put 90 plus 90, think of if we are going to use that money to build 2 or 3 power stations in a state. Think about the effects it's going to have in terms of, generation of employment. Think of the effects it's going to have, on creating jobs for the youth. And so, what kind of policy are we trying to? The policy of subsidizing Hajj and Christian pilgrimage to Jerusalem with about 300 billion, or the policy of investing in infrastructures. And so, again, like I said, the facts are there. So either you choose to invest in irrelevancies because you want to be seen as a good person, or you want to bribe the Christian community or the religious community, you want to bribe them, or you invest in the hard investment, invest in power, invest in road, youth employment, youth capacity buildings, and the rest of them. These are all what we need to get the economy running.
In one of your postulations, you said Nigeria needs fearless and visionary leaders. I want to understand how a fearless leader can change the dynamics of Nigeria and make us live better. Tinubu seems to be a fearless person, knowing that he's shown to have a good negotiating power, and most times seems to be the most powerful amongst politicians in the country. Yeah.
Again, I disagree with you.
I said seems to be.
The taste of the pudding is in the eating. I will be the first person to dobale for the president and commander-in-chief if at the end of the day the unemployment rate is reduced, if at the end of the day the prices of goods and services are coming down. Fearless in the sense that if you could say no, no to Hajj, 90 million subsidization of Hajj, if you can say no to subsidization of any pilgrimage to Israel because you think they are not generating enough resources for the economy, if you appoint, in fact, after the election, after the controversial election, which is still controversial, I stand bold to say that. Yeah. I've been on this program to criticize the INEC sham election, and so which imposes the current leadership on us. But we've passed that. But the fact is that if we could sit up and say no to certain things that are happening in this country, I have called that if I was an advisor, if I'm an advisor to the president, the first thing we would have done is to form a government of national unity.
How is that done?
You bring in technocrats. You bring in people across the political party. My first 100 days in office is going to be exactly to set up an agenda on how to restructure this country. That's what Fearless is all about. How to set up an instrument to have a true federalism. That's what Fearless is all about. To begin to throw to the current constitution into the dustbin because it's outdated and does not meet the needs of our people. That's what Fearless is all about. But no, they won't do that. Corruption, if you are caught as a minister, like we have several of them, and you are being investigated and found guilty, you spend the next 30 years in prison. That's what Fearless is all about. So until you begin to do those things, you're just doing a cosmetic thing and try to settle down your election debt until you mentioned your money
and I'm just curious to know how to you that can affect the economy of Nigeria. I want you to stress it very well for our dear viewer to understand.
I just give an example. If Delta states with the amount of resources of oil they have are allowed to control their own resources, if Delta states are allowed to generate their own tax and spend their own tax, then there's going to be a competition among the states to do better. There's going to be a competition among the states, to not only to do better, but also to collaborate when there is necessary. And so, but when you have a situation where you have the center, and sorry to say, some of our brothers across other states who want to subsidize XYZ with about how many billions, but they are not generating even as much as that, but taking a handout from the federal government. Once that keeps happening, then of course you're not going to get any serious economic review. So restructuring means allowing the states, to generate their own resources, allowing the state to control their own, tax and, send it out to whatever they have. That's what restructuring is all about. Allowing the states to grow at their own strength. Allowing the state police. That's what restructuring is all about. You have a state, a commissioner of police in Lagos State, which is the current governor of Lagos State, Shorolu, when he has to intervene in Bagada, and the team of policemen who came to settle the issue in Bagada said they don't take orders from the governor, but they take the order from the IG of police.
No, the chief security
officer of the state. I mean, how do you want that state to function? And so these are the things we are, when you say restructuring, these are the things about restructuring. When you say fearless, these are the things you stand bold to say, these things are not working, we need to change the equation.
On the flip side, if the states are given that kind of power, don't you think that kind of absolute power would propel absolute corruption for the part of governors in the country?
But we're not there yet. Almost all the successful countries I know in the world, Switzerland, Germany, United States, and so many other countries, they run a federation, a true federation. And in these two federations, also the security agitator is also included. If those countries are doing better, why are we so scared that? And yes, of course, we have our teething problems. So why not? The bottlenecks are going to be there. But at the end of the day, I think honestly speaking, they said somebody who is already on the ground, why are you still fearing of falling down? Nigeria is currently on the ground, so what else, what are we scared of? We should try something different. What we have now is, this union we have now is not working. We should look at other things and say that if it's going to work.
All right. Honorable, you are the National Deputy Chairman, Diaspora Engagement. Do you see diaspora playing any role in driving the economic growth and development in Nigeria?
Wow, I like that topic. Thank you for that question. And before 2013, 14, 15, and 16 and 17, the remittances of Nigerians in diaspora are over $60 billion US. And according to PricewaterhouseCoopers and according to the International Monetary Fund, without that remittances from diaspora, Nigeria would have gotten bankrupt. That's the statistics. So that answers your question. And that is why both economic and medical intervention of the diaspora has sustained this country. Statistics have shown that in Nigeria, I think out of every 10 families, 7 of them are in diaspora. And because of the remittance they are having, that's why they can support bills like school fees, electricity. And those families, according to statistics, are doing better than the other families who are not having a relative abroad. That's number one. The current electronic voting that you have in Nigeria was actually spearheaded by the diaspora. Personally, I was involved in meeting INEC. I was involved in making presidential and national assembly, where we have to make a case for diaspora voting. We are informed that diaspora voting can only take place if we have electronic voting, and therefore we need to have an amendment of the Constitution. And so, unfortunately, after the amendment of the Constitution, the diaspora voting was voted down, but the electronic voting was passed. That's why we had, the so-called electronic voting that we have thought would have made a difference in the national election. Unfortunately, that's not the case. So yes, diaspora has been very, very active over the years, and thank God to President Olusegun Obasanjo, former president of Nigeria, for initiating the diaspora engagement, a philosophy called the NIDO Organizations and Diaspora Engagement. So yes, diaspora can play a very important role, and they've been playing that, and they will still continue to play that, in as much as we've been denied the opportunity to vote. They see us as a cash cow of the nation, where we have to pay for our passport, we have to pay for NIN, we have to pay for everything, but we're not allowed to vote. And I hope this government, fearless, according to my very good friend, will be bold enough to say it's time to allow the diaspora to vote. And then, so we're hoping that that will help in also pushing.
For the record, I said seemingly fearless.
Seemingly fearless. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. I correct myself. Seemingly fearless.
Now, how has the high borrowing cost and rising debts hindered Nigeria's ability to finance its development agenda? I'll just take you through something. Nigeria recently spent as much as 2.34 trillion naira in 6 months to service a humongous public debt that is currently in excess of 107 trillion naira that she started with. That is why the country's national budget of 27.5 trillion naira for 2024 has nearly half of it appropriated for settling the nation's outstanding debt, which is composed of local and international debt stock. What are your thoughts about how we keep borrowing money in Nigeria? Do you think that affects the country? I've heard some people say, well, big countries borrow money too. I've heard some people say the borrowing is too much. We should stop at some point. What is your own thought about it?
Again, my apology, I'm not an economist.
Yeah, I know that.
I don't want to be waylaid and that but there are certain things that are very basic. We've been crying under Buhari. As a matter of fact, we've been crying under Okowa, the former governor of the state, when they go on borrowing extravaganza. And we said it's going to negatively affect the economy, because at the end of the day, you use a huge part of the budget to service debt, and leaving you little for investment. And what I do here in our policymakers, which is very, very appalling, that they are being mischievous, or they are basically they lack the knowledge, or both. When I hear say America is a big country, they borrow, Germany is a big country, they borrow, have you actually also compared the GDP of that country and the capital income of that country? Have you actually thought about that? Have you actually thought about the electricity in that country that it runs 24/7 without stop? Have you talked about the roads and the railways that they have 24/7 services? No. We always like to compare oranges and apple when it suits us. And no, yes, borrowing, like you elegantly summarized, borrowing means that you have most of your budget to service the debt you're not producing, you're not generating, and so you're piling up debt for the generation to come, and they are struggling to repay that, and it keeps getting worse. We should focus on manufacturing. We should focus on export, and we should limit our borrowing. Anybody who is telling you that big nations borrow, because of that we can continue to borrow, to do what? To service their lifestyles. I mean, I keep saying that when I see governors saying we are subsidizing, pilgrimage, whether it's Christian pilgrimage or Hajj, with XYZ, thousands of billions of naira, and I ask myself, what are those countries? What are those states generating? What is the total generation, the revenue generation of that state? And so, anybody who is telling you that we are going to borrow to quench the appetite of our political class that's going to have about 17 entourage in his car, in his entourage, cars in his entourage just to visit XYZ, when our governors will fly public money, fly public jet to go and say good afternoon to Mr. President because it's Hajj time, and you ask me where this money coming from. It's not from borrowing. So they are borrowing to survive their lifestyle, not to help the economy.
How would you react to the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, knowing full well that some people argue they indulge Nigeria into borrowings? They keep giving the country money. So you ask for money, they give, they grant those loans without checking the accountability of the monies borrowed. Do you think there is something, maybe a controversial theory that might mean that the IMF is somehow sponsoring the corruption of Nigeria for their own good?
I will not doubt that. I will leverage, again, like I said, I'm not an economist, but I will leverage on the experience of, again, two governors, Adam Oshomole, who is a member of the ruling party, also in the debate to clear the central bank governor, he was saying that he does not trust the IMF. That any country telling you to develop, to leave your market rate, at floating rate for the economy to decide that, it's not being sincere with the country. The same thing with Obaseki also, the governor of those states, who is also a renowned banker. He said he does not believe with the IMF meant well for Nigeria when he said that we should keep borrowing and do that. So I will key on those two, experienced Nigerians who said, yes, I think I agree with them. And you can't just keep, you just can't keep devaluing. I mean, in Germany, we have been for the past 28 years. They support they support agriculture. Certain corporations or utility companies are being regulated by the government. They have a lot of shares where they have a deciding factor, indirectly, saying what should be increased, how much should be done, and the rest of them. They have a very powerful trade union that they cannot just stand one day and increase things with that. But here we don't have, these things are not operational. So no, allowing IMF to have their way, the current way we're having in Nigeria. We can go on from now to tomorrow, where they have to regulate the oil company, where the share has to sell part of its holdings, and at the end of the day, the person who is buying those shareholding is somebody who is related to the president, to Mr. President. And so you ask, are those regulations done in good faith, or are they done to to satisfy certain set of people? That's why at the end of the day, economic here, economic there, reform here, reform there, until we begin to feel the impact of the economy on the common man, until we begin to see the price of goods coming down, until we begin to see that the pensioners will get their pensions when it's due, then I still think that we're doing a voodoo economy.
Okay. Earlier, when I asked you what are the strengths of this country, you said Nigeria has the human capital. What are the opportunities and challenges associated with harnessing Nigerians' human capital to drive economic growth and innovation?
Well, we mentioned the youth are the youth of every country, are the backbone of the economy. Private economy drives the economy of every country, both in Germany and the United States. So you have to, empower the middle class, the private. You have to create a loan to help the small scale businesses. You have to, have a youth empowerment, project, not the one they do here, to use a wheelbarrow to empower the youth. You have to have a capacity building on that. You have to have a friendly, that a graduate can walk out from the school, go into the bank with one or no godfathers to be able to to secure a loan and be able to have a way of paying back those loans. These are the if you do that, you mobilize the youth, you empower them, and they begin to to explore. But most importantly, the basic infrastructure has to be there. Light has to be there. Our minister, rather than talking about offering the freezer, you should be thinking about how do we have an energy mix in Nigeria that will have the renewable energy, that will have, apart from that, how do we bring down the cost of the energy so that the young graduates who want to have small scale businesses can be able to afford without running a generation 24/7. These are the things we need to put into the economy to make it real.
All right, let's now talk about public and civil servants, because people say all hands should be on deck to make Nigeria work. So for the benefit of that, what is the role of public and civil servants towards saving the country's economy?
The truth is that the civil servants are the technocrats that help to build or main every country. As a matter of fact, we blame the politicians for being corrupt. Yes, they are, especially Nigerian politicians. But without civil servants, without the permanent secretaries, without the clerks, and they won't be able to steal or to hide money. So they are also part of them. So, but again, I wouldn't be an expert to prefer solution to how that should be solved. But I believe that if we have true federalism, where each state have to decide what is good for itself, they could be able to prune down the number of the civil servants in each state. They should be able to optimize the relevance of the civil servants. They should be able to be productive oriented, not only to carry file from one desk to the other. They have to come up with policies and make sure they implement the policies of the states at the end of this, so that we can generate resources for the state. And so the civil servants should be repositioned to meet the civil servants of the 21st century, where they have to be productive, where they have to be forward-thinking, rather than just carrying files and pushing files here and there.
How can Nigeria ensure sustainable economic growth while also addressing environmental concerns and promoting social equity?
As a tall order, again, have a good economic team that are in sync with the best international policies. Build confidence in the people. But most importantly, sustainable development. We have the SDG goals. The SDG goals are well spelled out. If we have the minister, we have the head of agencies that are in tune with the SDG goals and the African Union goals, they should be able to implement those SDG goals. We have the African free trade. Unfortunately, in all the economic discussion I'm hearing about this economic team, they have not had any single policies. What's Nigerian policy towards the African free trade zone? Nigeria can trade with the African country within the African continent and make 10 times the amount they are making trading internationally. I don't see any clear-cut policies on that. So we need to harness all these instruments available to us to be able to expand our economy.
Okay. Earlier I spoke about Dangote Refinery and Airpeace and the feat they achieved. Although you are talking about how it will be translated to the common man, but somehow they achieved this feat. And I think people who want to take flights to UK can do that successfully and cheaper. People have now said that privatization seems to be the way forward for Nigeria. Do you agree with this?
Yes and no. There should be companies or institutions that need to be privatized, and so to say. But that should not be all. It should be. One should have to look at the critical infrastructure, infrastructures we have, and see exactly which one could be privatized. For instance, the electricity needs to be privatized as far back as yesterday. People should be able to generate electricity, so they should be able to do that. Again, like I said congratulations to Airpeace and to Dangote. They are making us proud. They are doing the right thing. But I don't want this administration. I don't want this government to use that as to brand the progress they have made, because it does not translate to the common man until we begin to see the effect on that. So these are purely private initiative, like you rightly said. And so yes, private equity seems to be working in Nigeria. Public-private partnership should be encouraged, because it seems to be the way that has been working across the country, across the globe. and there's no reason why we should not experiment that here.
All right. Let's get your final message to Nigerians, even the state, as regards reviving the nation's economy.
Well, I think to summarize everything we have said, Nigeria needs to be restructured. Nigeria is a sick nation. We are just administering pills and tablets just to keep us going. I think just yesterday, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, our former president, said that it is time to restructure this country. The African Development Bank, Adesina, said, okay, it's time we have the United States of Nigeria. So I joined those prominent Nigerians to say it's time we restructure this country. If we need to get this country going, we need to get our priorities right, and we need to, go into true federalism. I think that's the way forward, and I think the government should be fearless enough to embark on these reforms, because that's the way to go.
Fearless. I'll take that as our final word this morning, knowing full well what you mean by fearless. Daring policies that could down situations and create greater good for our nation. Thank you so much, Honorable Dr. Kenneth Chibugu Bandi. You are the National Deputy Chairman, Diaspora Emergent Engagement and 2023 candidate for Delta North. It's been a privilege to have this conversation with you on Morning Rise.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure being here.
It's a pleasure too.
Thank you so much for coming. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, you heard from him. The nation needs to get up.
Happy birthday, that is all I can say. I wish you many, many happy returns.
Felicitations. The board and management of Delta Broadcasting Service DBS Asaba extend our hearty congratulations to our pace-setter governor, His Excellency Right Honorable Elder Sheriff Ubrewori, on the occasion of his birth anniversary on June 19. This special occasion not only marks another year of your life, but also serves as a reminder of your exceptional commitment to serving the people of Delta. Your leadership has brought about significant progress and development to our communities, and your dedication to public service is absolutely laudable. Your unwavering resolve and actions locally and internationally to ensure a prosperous and inclusive Delta has continued to attract laurels to you. Indeed, you have made Delta State a global brand. We are grateful for your vision and service towards a greater Delta State. At Delta Broadcasting Service Asaba, we remain committed to supporting your administration's efforts by sharing your initiatives and achievements with our teaming audience, ensuring that the visible dividends of the MORE agenda and the appreciative voices of the people resonate throughout the state. Once again, happy birthday, Your Excellency. May the years ahead be filled with joy, success, vitality, and strength as you lead Delta State towards greater heights. Signed, Honorable Chief Austin Chikezie, Board Chairman, Delta Broadcasting Service Asaba, and Mrs. Christine Jobama Emetulu, General Manager.
I can say, I wish you many, many happy returns.
How far Delta people? In less than 22 months, Governor Borowori don show say im promise not be plenty talk with the full basket, not be cho with a more agenda, meaningful development, opportunity for all, realistic reforms, and enhanced peace and security. Progress don burst out everywhere. Im don upgrade over 500 roads, initiate over 300 new ones, and build plenty bridges wey dey connect our communities.
Every day when I dey reach here, my spirit dey jump, my morale dey high, because this priest never tell for worship. This sheriff talk well. Jesus is the high. Sheriff, yes.
For education, over 3,000 teachers and support staff don join, and schools don dey get better shine.
I really want to say the government have done a good job providing us with these new buildings, because we lack lecture or we are grateful to the government.
For the health sector, 1 billion naira, you dey hear wetin I dey talk, 1 billion naira don burst out our health insurance. Hospitals don dey get better modern equipment, and new health colleges don open. Every day changes dey happen for Delta State. For agriculture, 1 billion naira intervention fund dey help our farmers to produce better food. Make we not begin to dey talk about empowerment sef wey dey sup for the state. Sheriff don touch over 250,000 lives for the state.
Our administration is fully committed to what government expected to do for its people, which is to empower them to overcome the challenges of life and enable them to achieve their full meaning of happiness.
Everybody no go lack for his life, his generation no go lack. As he remember me, remember my daughter today, make God remember her. He go come again, we go see follow am again.
Our hard-working civil servants also dey enjoy support, and for our security agencies, they don get 66 security vehicles when our governor don say make e enter the road, make e protect people for the street.
Thank you for the support that you have been giving to the police command and other security agencies in the state.
Kodo just dey go round every sector to make sure say everywhere balash. Make una know say this one na proof say Governor Borowori dey talk the talk, he dey do the work, and na man wey dey win awards sef up and down.
We are giving you these awards as the most all-inclusive governor of the year 2025.
This na sign say im dey bring hope and progress for every corner for Delta State. Make we join hands celebrate our leader wey truly dey make Delta State dey shine. The work never finish o, we go continue to dey do more.
Indeed, Governor Sheriff's administration is committed to delivering impactful governance that will improve the lives of Deltans. Take a look at the inauguration of the Boji Boji Owa Mixed Modern Market, which was inaugurated some days ago.
The newly inaugurated Boji Boji Owa Mixed Modern Market, which includes a modern abattoir, is crucial towards improving economic activities and also stimulating innovation.
Governor Sheriff.
And because Governor Sheriff is dedicated to providing sustainable infrastructures, he has also encouraged that the facilities be given timely maintenance.
Governor Sheriff always concerned about the well-being of Deltans.
I even hear say in line with the more agenda, opportunities for all. So Governor Sheriff, he don't call for the redesign of academic curricula to equip graduates with the technical skills necessary for them to become job and wealth creators.
And no surprise, just some days ago, the Delta State Ministry of Science and Technology inaugurated the More ICT Year program at the Delta State Innovation Hub, Asaba. This program is a government-backed initiative aimed at equipping youths with essential digital skills.
For this Delta State, more agenda will reach all of us.
Opportunities for all.
Yes, sir.
Brought to you by Delta State Ministry of Information.
And that brings us to the end of that enlightening conversation on the Nigerian economy. A heartfelt thank you to our amazing guest, Honorable Kenneth Bande. He is the National Deputy Chairman, Diaspora Engagement, Delta State. And we say thank you to him for sharing his insight and perspectives with us. And of course, to all of us, we hope that this discussion has sparked thought and inspired great dialogue. Remember remember, a stronger economy begins with all of us being informed. It's still Thursday's edition of Morning Ride, and we'll move to our next spot, which is the newspaper headline segment. All right, without further ado, we'll begin with the Daily Independent newspaper. These are the headlines. The screaming headline here says, Benue massacre. Tinubu orders security chiefs to hunt down killer headsmen. Ask Governor Alia to constitute peace committee. Direct him to make land available for ranching. Co-opt ex-governors into think tank for enduring solution. And Alia asks for special intervention fund for affected communities. Right, a step in the right direction if you ask me. Other headlines making rounds from the Daily Independent newspaper are: equities market soars by 1.18 trillion naira, highest daily gain in 2025. Zenith Bank reassures shareholders, investors of continued dividend payment. Benue killings. We're on the verge of being completely annihilated. This is coming from MBF. TCN owed 457 billion naira as power sector debts mount. INEC cannot cancel PDP NEC meeting. This is coming from CPPDP. And lastly, journalists in Akwa Ibom face rising threats of cyberbullying and harassment. Right, that's it on the Daily Independent newspaper. We move quickly right now to the Daily Times newspaper, and the major story here says, Benue, Tinubu set up elders committee, demands land for ranching, abort visit to Yelawata. All right, other headlines from the Daily Times newspaper include Israel-Iran crisis. Nigeria moves to evacuate citizens, urges end to hostilities. Nnamdi Kanu's inciting statement responsible for mass violence in Southeast. This is coming from DSS Witness. U.S. visa ban on ECOWAS nations threatens trade deals security gains. This is coming from Tugar. Zenith Bank exits regulatory forbearance, meets 500 billion naira capital target. Commercial flights begin at Chuba Okadibo International Airport, Ebonyi. And at the top strip of the Daily Times newspaper, it says, Benue killings. Armed Fulani burned 20 members of my family. This is coming from a survivor. Right, the Guardian newspaper is next. The Guardian newspaper, the top story here says, reactions trail Tinubu's Benue visit. Land grab remark, rising IDPs. At the top strip, it says, Zenith Bank assures investors of exit from forbearance obligation. River Park Estate, court restrains IGP, EFCC from alleged rights violation. World Sickle Cell Day. Carriers, stakeholders bemoan high cost of care, health insurance omission. And then that is it on the Guardian newspaper. Moving on to, that is it on the Guardian newspaper. Yeah, we're moving now to the Vanguard newspaper. That sees a picture, yes, of President Tinubu being welcomed by Nyesom Wike, Barrister Nyesom Wike, the Honorable Minister of FCT, as he comes to commission roads linking Mabushi with Katambe at Judges' Quarters area. And at the top strip of the Vanguard newspaper, it says, Benue killings will confront land grabbing head-on to bring peace. This is coming from President Tinubu. CBN's forbearance. Zenith Bank assures investors on exit by June 30. And at the bottom strip, it says, River Park Estate. Court restrains IGP, EFCC, head IGP monitoring unit, Fakorede from alleged rights violation and obstruction. The next newspaper is the New Telegraph newspaper. And the screaming headline here says, Middle East crisis. Federal government plans emergency evacuation of Nigerians from Israel and Iran. As over 400 EU citizens evacuated from Israel. Report, Iranian ex-president Ahmadinejad survives assassination attempt. Trump considers US joining Israeli strikes on Iran. At the top strip of the New Telegraph newspaper, it says autonomy. Governors hijack local government councils 2.058 trillion naira amid logjam. Edun, tax reform bill's hallmark of economic prosperity and growth. Still looking at the New Telegraph newspaper, it says the local government poll, Lagos PDP intact, says Bode George as party flags off campaign. Zenith Bank pledges dividend resumption mid-year, says forbearance, exit imminent. DSS witness to court, Kanu's incitement liable for mass violence in the southeast. And this one is coming from INEC. We've not registered any new party. At the bottom strip of the New Telegraph newspaper, it says ECOWAS seeks collective responsibility towards combating terrorism. LPPC shortlists 72 lawyers for SAN rank, calls for public review. Benue massacres, let's get those criminals, Tinubu tells service chiefs and IGP. Condoles with victims' families, OK's cattle ranching to end farmer-herder clashes. Humanitarian crisis hit Nasarawa as fleeing residents flood state. Archbishop Martin declares June 22 day of prayer. Go on. Aburi Accord failed as Ojukwu wanted regional governors to control military zones. Unfortunately, I know people will not believe it. I was having serious attack of some kind of fever and I could not make a decision when we arrived home. This one is coming from Gowon. And lastly, on the New Telegraph newspaper, it says cannabis use may double risk of heart disease death. This is a study. Right, moving on to the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. It says, Benue killings, arrest perpetrators, Tinubu orders security chiefs. World Sickle Cell Day. Patients battle high cost of drugs, access to treatment. Bandit kills 24 farmers, others in Katsina communities. How fake agric credit providers dupe farmers. All right, that's it on the Daily Trust newspaper. The Nation newspaper is next. The major story still places its focus on Benue State. It says Benue killings, President goes hard on security chiefs. Get the criminals, says Tinubu. Aliyah seeks state police. Furtive invaders target our land. At the top strip, it says Dangote PMS diesel aviation fuel free delivery begins August 15, 2025. New tax system to take effect January. Zenith Bank to exit CBN regulatory forbearance June 30. Fuss over deduction from airtime on USSD transactions. Alright, that is it on the Nation's newspaper. And moving quickly to the Nigerian Tribune, it says President Tinubu to commission roads linking Mabushi with Katampe, Judges Quarters area today. And the Honorable Minister of FCT, who is Barrister Nyesom Wike, welcomes the President, His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, to the FCT for that commissioning. And at the top strip, it says, Zenith Bank reassures shareholders, investors of continued dividend payment to exit CBN's regulatory forbearance, June 30. Tinubu to service chiefs and IGP, fish out Benue criminals. visits injured victims at teaching hospital. We are facing calculated genocide invasion, Toltev tells president. Establish special intervention fund for affected communities, Alia urges the federal government. And that's it for the newspaper headline segment on today's edition of Morning Ride. For details of the stories and more, please let's do well to go get copies of this newspaper so we read them, so we have an idea of what is happening in our immediate and our extended environment. Or we can log on to the website, click the link, and we'll read. It's pertinent that we have an idea of what is happening around us so that we'll be informed and then we contribute correctly to conversations happening around us. Okay, it's on this note that we are rounding off today's edition of Morning Ride right here on Delta TV. Special thanks to the supervising producer Lemibofa Ozibo, Alex Afodo, the presentation director, the cameraman Eunice Okpoto, and Stella Okwonta. Also, we are saying thank you to the men at the ICT unit, Randy and Chika. Before I go, I want to say that it is important that we show kindness in its most genuine form. You know, you don't have to be a billionaire or a millionaire to show kindness. You can give a listening ear, a pat on the back, a reassuring smile. Trust me, the list is endless. But show someone kindness today. Show someone love, genuine love. The world needs more of that. My name is Perpetua Iboba. Goodbye and good morning.
Alpha Delta people, in less than 22 months, Governor Borowori don show say im promise not be plenty talk with the full basket, not be cho with a more agenda, meaningful development, opportunity for all, realistic reforms, and enhanced